Hi, let me give you a brief walkthrough on how I've set up HA for the Pfsense in AWS using the AWS Advanced feature for Pfsense. So I've got two EC2 instances there representing the Pfsense machines. I've got one in AZA, one in AZB. They've got different network interfaces, and as you can see, their IDs 205 and 954. So the idea here is that if you are routing to these Pfsense devices, your routing table for your workloads should dynamically change and point to the active member. For example, the default gateway in this case, when all my Pfsense were shut down, was going to the primary member, which is with ID 205. So we'll see in the AWS console and identify which one is the active member and go to the root table and see if it's changing dynamically, and also show you how I make this happen. Let me jump to the AWS console. Right. So I've got these two Pfsense devices that you can see which are running. Initially, they've got I've got two public IPs, in fact, elastic IPs, one for B and one for A. Right? If you check under the Pfsense devices, I'll open the first one. Okay, this one with public IP 147, which is Pfsense A. Let's check the failover status of this one. You can see this is a backup member. Right? Then let me all check the other one, which is 168, which is the second member. It shows you that this is the master. Now let's check the ANID of the master in the AWS console. We are saying the master has got IP address of 168, right? If we come here, this is the one. Then under network, you can see the ID is the one which ends with 954F. Now let's check our routing table, our dynamic routing table under VPCs, where it's pointing to. Route tables, and I've got route tables here, and this is the, you can see that it's pointing to the active member of 954F. So what we are going to do, I'm going to show you where I define this routing before I shut down the member. Generally, if you are setting high availability, the first step you do the normal way you do on-prem under this high availability tab. And then you choose your synchronization and which interfaces. This is what you do on the on-prem. The same thing you do in AWS, and then you select whatever you want to synchronize. But now the enhanced feature for AWS, we go under AWS High Availability. As you know, you want the elastic IP to be floating, and you want to define that route table. So this is where I put if I go and edit, let's see, under edit here, if you look at this route table ID, RTB, CBCF, and then I go to, this is the same route table. So I just copied this route table, take it into the Pfsense device, define the rules, which goes to the active ENI every time. Okay, then under elastic IPs, you look at this allocation ID, you choose which elastic IP is going to be controlled by the master. If the master changes this elastic IP, needs to move. So if you look at this allocation ID D93, you also see it under this tab. Let's go. Okay, elastic IPs. Yeah, it's this one. right? So I copied this and then on the Pfsense, and then define which private IP for that particular Pfsense. So the same allocation ID should be also put on the other member. If you look at AWS High Availability, you see that the same allocation ID, but pointing to the other member's private IP, and the roots is exactly the same root table. So every time one member is active, the routing table should change because of this configuration. So let's jump in again into the console and bring the active member down. Let's see, our active member here is, I think it was, let me just say a moment. I think this was the active, this is the active member, the current active member. Yes, this is the master. And the other one is the backup. Yeah, this is the backup. So I'm going to bring down the active member so that this one becomes the backup becomes the active member, and then see if the rules change. So 168 active member here, and so the active member current is this one. So let's shut down the active member. And just to remind you, before we shut down the active member, we expect that if the routing should change to the new ANI. Let's take a moment and see that. Stop this guy, right? This guy is dying, and we can refresh here. See, we expect that 954 will go if everything is working as per plan. Maybe I should be patient to see if the member is really stopped. So we know it's still 954. Let's check here. It's still stopping. Okay. Is it stopped? Still stopping. Right. Still stopping. Let's see. It's more of a graceful stop. Once this is happening, I can also show you. On these instances, I have assigned a role with permissions to do the failover tasks, updating tags, updating root tables. And if we check here, under security, security, because it's stopping, I can view it on the active one, which is in a running state. Let me select it here. I wanted to see the IAM row. So I've got an IAM row, which is Pfsense HA row. And this row, you can see it on AWS documentation under prerequisites. Let's see a moment. Yeah, here we are. Prerequisite AWS account privileges. You should be able to do all these tasks: describe regions, replace root, associate address, create tags for HA to work. Let's go back to our C2. Okay. Now the instance is showing that it's stopped. Then we jump into our, you can see now the root table is changed, is now pointing to the active member. And so the other thing that you notice that the new active member, which is this one, look at the elastic IP, it's now using this elastic IP. And if you check, the elastic IP is no longer linked to the previously active member. Then to see how that happens, let's check our under CloudTrail logs and see if that role was definitely the one responsible for all these changes. Check. So, 11. Yeah. So you can see from what you can see even all these API calls replace root. And if you go, let's see, replace root, if you go into this call, you see that my Pfsense row, Pfsense HA row, was responsible for updating this root table, RTB, destination, and all this stuff. So every moment I'm doing a failover test, it is this row which is responsible in changing. Let's check another API call. There's a replace root at what time? 11:34, about 4 minutes ago. If you look at it, that was 11:38. Let's check this one. You can see the HA row which is attached to the instance is doing the replace root, and that's the one which updated our root table, this one. So without this feature, you do this using some Lambda functions. So I can see Pfsense, or they've tried to simplify the setup of HA. Thank you.